He is among the most famous heroes of not only the First Age, but in all the history of Middle-earth. His actions would directly lead to the defeat of Morgoth, the founding of Numenor, and the prosperity of the early Second Age. His descendants are among the greatest heroes of the Second and Third Ages, and even those who were not among them hold him in honor and reverence. Today on Nerd of the Rings, we cover the life of Eärendil. Eärendil is born in the year 503 of the First Age, in the hidden realm of Gondolin. His mother is Idril, daughter of Turgon, the High King of the Noldor. His father is the mortal man Tuor, making Eärendil just the second child ever born of man and elf. The first is Dior, the son of Beren and Luthien. What was a happy childhood would meet great tragedy when Eärendil is just 7 years old. For in the year 510, the location of Gondolin is revealed to Morgoth by the traitor Maeglin. Maeglin had long coveted Idril and held a hatred for Tuor. As Gondolin is attacked by dragons, balrogs, and orcs, Maeglin attempts to kill Eärendil and kidnap Idril. However, Tuor prevents this and throws Maeglin from the walls of the city. Eärendil, his parents, and as many survivors as could be gathered make their way to a secret path through the mountains, which Idril had commissioned. As they make their way through the Cirith Oronath, they are ambushed by a host of orcs and a balrog. The eagles of the city attack the orcs, and a lone elf from among the group stays behind to fight the balrog of Morgoth. Glorfindel fights the demon of shadow and flame, and they would both fall from the precipice to their dooms. With Gondolin in flames, the refugees make their way south, resting for a short time in the willows of Nantathrin. Thanks to the power of Ulmo, which dwelt in the river Sirion, they are healed of their wounds and sorrows. There, Tuor sings to his son a song, The Horns of Ylmir, speaking of his encounter with Ulmo, the Lord of Waters. In the hearts of both father and son, a sea longing is awakened. They continue south along the Sirion to the havens ruled by Círdan the Shipwright, settling in the lands of Arvernian. After his parents sailed into the west, Eärendil becomes the leader of his people and marries Elwing, the daughter of Dior. And in 532, she would give birth to twin sons, Elrond and Elros. For a time, they would have peace and happiness, living on the shores of Beleriand. However, like their father, Elrond and Elros' lives would be interrupted by war. Over the years, Eärendil had, with the help of Círdan, built a mighty ship, Vingilot, and he would at times sail around the seas west of Middle-earth in search of Tuor and Idril, while his family remained behind at the havens. This time, an attack would come not from Morgoth, but from their fellow elves. For the sons of Feanor had learned that Elwing had inherited the silmaril of Beren and Luthien, and they attack the havens in the third kinslaying of elves against elves. Rather than being captured and allowing the murderous Feanorians to gain a silmaril, Elwing instead casts herself into the sea, silmaril in hand. But it would not be her doom. For Ulmo bore up Elwing out of the waves, and he gave her the likeness of a great white bird, and upon her breast there shone as a star the silmaril, as she flew over the water to seek Eärendil, her beloved. On a time of night, Eärendil at the helm of his ship saw her come towards him, as a white cloud exceeding swift beneath the moon, as a star over the sea moving in strange courses, a pale flame on wings of storm. And it is sung that she fell from the air upon the timbers of Vingilot in a swoon, nigh unto death for the urgency of her speed. And Eärendil took her to his bosom, but in the morning, with marveling eyes, he beheld his wife in her own form beside him, with her hair upon his face, and she slept. Learning of the tragedy at the Havens, and possibly believing his sons lost, Eärendil resolves to search for Valinor. They come to the Blessed Realm. But Eärendil climbed the green hill of Tuna and found it bare, and he entered into the streets of Tirion, and they were empty, and his heart was heavy, for he feared that some evil had come even to the Blessed Realm. He walked in the deserted ways of Tirion, and the dust upon his raiment and his shoes was a dust of diamonds, and he shone and glistened as he climbed the long white stairs. And he called aloud in many tongues, both of elves and men, but there were none to answer him. Therefore he turned back at last towards the sea. But even as he took the shoreward road, one stood upon the hill and called to him in a great voice, crying, "Hail, Eärendil, of mariners most renowned, the looked-for that cometh at unawares, the longed-for that cometh beyond hope. Hail, Eärendil, bearer of light before the sun and moon, splendor of the children of earth, star in the darkness, jewel in the sunset, radiant in the morning." That voice was of Eonwe, the herald of Manwe, and Eärendil is brought before the Valar, where he asks for pardon for the Noldor, and for mercy for the men and elves of Middle-earth, who are now at the mercy of a merciless foe. Because Eärendil had taken his journey on behalf of others and not himself, Manwe did not judge that Eärendil should be put to death, as would have been the punishment for him coming uninvited to Valinor. But when all was spoken, Manwe gave judgment, and he said, "In this matter the power of doom is given to me. The peril that he ventured for love of the two kindreds shall not fall upon Eärendil, nor shall it fall upon Elwing his wife, who entered into peril for love of him. But they shall not walk again ever among elves or men in the outer lands. And this is my decree concerning them. To Eärendil and to Elwing and to their sons shall be given leave to each choose freely to which kindred their fates shall be joined, and under which kindred they shall be judged." The Valar send the great host of the West to Beleriand to overthrow the Dark Lord. For 40 years, the War of Wrath decimates the lands of Beleriand. But Eärendil's part in the story would not cease with being a mere messenger. His ship is blessed by the Valar, and rather than sailing the seas, it shines with a white flame as he takes to the skies. He sails at the helm of Vingilot, with the silmaril upon his brow. And when Morgoth unleashes his last and greatest weapon, the winged dragons, Eärendil and the great eagles of the First Age meet them in battle. Eärendil kills Ancalagon the Black, the greatest dragon to ever live, and his body is cast down onto the peaks of Thangorodrim, which are destroyed in his ruin. With Morgoth defeated and Beleriand destroyed, Eärendil returns to Valinor. Ever after, he would sail the skies, the silmaril upon his brow, as the Star of Eärendil. Those remaining in Middle-earth in later days would call it Gil Estel, the Star of High Hope. As we know, Elrond and Elros were not lost in the kinslaying, but would survive into the Second Age. And like Eärendil and Elwing, they are given the choice of being counted among the immortal elves or to receive the gift of men. Elrond chooses the path of his parents, while Elros chooses mortality. Elros and the Edain sail from the coasts of Middle-earth, following the star of Eärendil to find a land newly risen for them, the Isle of Numenor. It is the light of Eärendil's star which over 6,000 years later is given to Frodo Baggins. For Galadriel had a phial in which shone the light of Eärendil, a light which would shine even in the darkest depths of Mordor. Frodo gazed in wonder at this marvelous gift that he had so long carried, not guessing its full worth and potency. Seldom had he remembered it on the road, until they came to Morgul Vale, and never had he used it for fear of its revealing light. "Aya, Eärendil, Elenion an Kalima!" he cried, and knew not what he had spoken, for it seemed that another voice spoke through his, clear, untroubled by the foul air of the pit. Unto the ending of the world, Eärendil's star would grace the sky, and his light and his story would be remembered for thousands of years, held in great reverence as both a beloved star and the ancestor of some of the greatest elves and men throughout the second and third ages of the world. Only at the final battle, the Dagor Dagorath, would Eärendil return to strike Morgoth from the skies. To learn more about Tolkien's End of Days and Eärendil's role, check out my video on the Dagor Dagorath. As always, I want to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make this channel possible. Tom DeBombadil 19, Listen Me the Cinda, Mandu Pandu, Andrew Carlisle, The Mighty Mim, Team Weasel, Rabbi Rob Thomas, Sky Carcass, Slide Belts, Dane Ragnarsson, Salim Rahman, Zetrock, Berto Berg, Grand Strategy Nerd, Graham Darricott, The Dark-Haired One, Wyland, Michael Wu, and Debbie. If you enjoyed the artwork in this video, check out the artists in the description and purchase prints of their great work for yourself. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings.